They're not sure what path they want to go on. So the Navy and the military in general is a great opportunity to either use as a stepping stone to get to college, to get to your next, career milestone, or, to be like Angela and myself and do this probably until retirement. Speaking to the kids, it's it's not a hard thing to do because we're not selling anything that's unattainable. You're not selling a dream that nobody can achieve. You're selling basically yourself. Your experiences, your path, and they love that.
Absolutely. No, it's really cool. And it takes me back a little bit to my high school days. I remember seeing you guys in the hallways and things like that. So it's really cool. And the way you put it into perspective that it's not unattainable, you two have made some great accomplishments along your way and along your journey. How would you say that you have accomplished those goals, meeting the ranks that you have, and how would you kind of give some advice to the generation of female sailors following your steps?
So me personally, I didn't start off on this path as a Navy counselor. I originally came in the Navy as a fire controlman. I worked on advanced weapon systems, and I did that for about 10 years until I got married, and I spoke with my mentors along the way, and it just didn't seem like the path for me to continue on, and somebody suggested to try recruiting. And through amazing mentorship and, guidance, I ended up converting to a counselor, and I've stuck to it. But without the guidance of the people who came before me and the push to keep moving, it would have been a lot harder of a journey.
And what would you say, Angela?
Me coming in the Navy a little bit later, I was a little older, I already had some outside experience. So I was already pretty motivated to do what I could do. And I've always kind of been a hard worker, won't stop until the job's done type person. So it's just kind of really helped me lead the path for the direction I wanted to go.
Definitely. I like that mentality of, there's always more work to be done. And so, and talking about that, you're very dedicated in what you do. You've accomplished so much, and becoming the first female chief of boat. What would you say has been the most difficult challenge, obstacle in being chief of boat?
Um, I'll even back it up a little bit. So, like, initially joined the Navy, I was in IT. I went through some aviation commands with C-40s, F-5s, and P-3s. And then I switched over to mobile comms, and I did some mobile comms with P3s and with beach crew. So I've kind of been all over the place, pretty diverse background. And then when they just allowed women on submarines in the last 10 years. First they allowed female officers, and then in 2016 is when they allowed female enlisted. So I went ahead and applied. I wasn't initially going to apply, but my sailors talked me into applying. They were looking for people with prior sea duty experience, which I had none, so I really didn't think that I would get selected. But I ended up being an alternate, and then did get the phone call. So, and then coming to submarines, it was different. I'm not going to say it wasn't different, good or bad. Like, it's just different, like going to each command, like every command you go to, it's just different. And you always love your last command, or something was done better or the right way. So, like, it just changes at every command. And then coming over to the submarine force, my goal since, like, my first command, my first CMC, Command Master Chief, kind of set me in that way. Like, I wanted to be, and I wanted to emulate him. So, coming to submarine force, now to become a Command Master Chief, I have to do a tour as chief of the boat. So, that's kind of what I set myself to. But also coming there a little bit later in my career, I've had to do a lot more things in a very short period of time to get qualified. To get qualified submarines, and then to be equivalent in with my peers as far as our watches goes. I did a lot in a short amount of time that people normally do in 2 or 3 tours.
Yeah, no, it is really cool to hear how much you've been able to do in such a short amount of time. And it was like, yeah, I kind of read it, and I don't want to say it wrong, but it was like a year or two, right? Or a few years. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so on my first submarine, so on my first boat, which was the USS Michigan, I was able to get qualified and qualified submarines, qualified chief of the watch, which is the person in control that kind of moves the water around and keeps the boat afloat, and then qualified diving officer of the watch, which is the person that directs everybody on how to drive the boat. So getting those three done in one tour was an amazing accomplishment.
That is definitely awesome. And then Angela also mentioned that females weren't able to serve on the U.S. Navy submarines until, and that was like 2011. And then she mentioned 2016 when they were those who were enlisted were allowed, right? Yes. Okay. Perfect. I'm like, okay, I'm tracking right. We're following the right info. There's so much here. So lastly, Angela, I do want to ask you, is there anything cool or unique that you can tell us about the USS Louisiana?
The USS Louisiana, it's a ballistic missile submarine stationed at Bangor, Washington. We actually have two crews. There's a blue crew and a gold crew for all the BNs. And what that looks like is, so the on crew, which is the people that currently work day to day on the boat, typically, hopefully, is underway. And then the other crew is in the off crew, and we work on training and proficiencies to get ourselves ready to go take it out of patrol. It was commissioned in 1997, so it's about 26 years old. It will be 26 years old this year. And we just got out of a 43-month ERO period, which is a engineered refueling overhaul period, which was the longest in Navy history. So we're glad to be back in the water.
Wow, that is amazing. She's just over here just writing down the list of all the historic things that she's getting done. That is honestly very, very awesome. Evelyn, I wanted to also ask you, you guys are doing so much throughout this week. What are some of the things you've done so far throughout the week to maybe recruit people in this area? Or I know it's this week is big on education. So anything like that you're doing this week?
So this week is not so much a recruiting evolution that we're doing. It's bringing Navy awareness. So while Navy recruiting is very much involved, it wasn't organized by us. We're here to support. So as a matter of fact, I've learned a lot about the Navy this last week that in my 15 years I didn't know, especially as a recruiter, which is pretty amazing that, even from my standpoint, I'm still learning. But right now we have recruiters going into different schools, getting to know the students even more, getting to know these different programs that, Navy Week has brought in with the musicians. They're doing a lot of volunteer work in the community to just really show that we're here to support.
So cool. I mean, honestly, both of you have inspired me, especially with just the energy of Women's History Month. I mean, as you guys look ahead, are you inspired? Do you have any other future goals that you would still like to attain? What would you like to share with us?
Well, I still would like to become a CMC and see what I can do with that. I really enjoy watching sailors grow, both personally and professionally, and see where they're, if they set their minds to something, that they can accomplish that. And then, I don't know, I may be in for another 10 years, and we'll just see how it goes from one day at a time.
And for myself, first of all, it's definitely an honor to meet you. I mean, you're a trailblazer in the community, which is amazing. But realistically for me, once I finish this tour here and recruiting, my ultimate goal is to, eventually maybe go to the schoolhouse and teach the next generation of recruiters. Because if we're not building upon our reliefs, there's nobody going to be there in the future.
Absolutely beautiful, because you see it firsthand right now and you see what's needed and what's missing. So it's awesome that you can provide the knowledge that you've gained now and give it to the next generation. That's beautiful. Well, thank you guys so much for being a part of this conversation. Is there anything else that you guys would like to share with the community about Navy Week? I know we do have some events still in store for us throughout this week, like the let me not say it incorrectly. Yes, Blue Angels, they're performing on March 25th and the 26th, so that's going to be fun. I think also the band is performing there as well. Is that right?
Yeah, they're performing, the Navy Rock Band is performing Friday night at 6 p.m. at Cato Park, I believe. And then the Rock Band and the Ceremonial Guard is going to be at the Skyport Discovery Center on Saturday, I believe at noon. And then there's quite a few commands here. You can see the whole list of events at outreach.navy.mil. So please look it up, and we're glad that Shreveport and Bossier had us.
Perfect. Thank you guys. And I'm so happy you made your way here as well to talk a little bit about all the accomplishments you've made along your journeys. If you guys would like to see more details on these two amazing women, as well as all things Navy Week, head on over to ktalnews.com. You can also download our app at KTAL News Now so that you don't miss a beat. Thank you guys all for tuning in and joining and hanging out with us. And thank you guys as well for coming in again. Have a great day, guys.